So this is the first thing that I wanted to remind you of. There is a fundamental difference between living machines, which obey homeostasis, and machines such as we have in robotics typically, which rather than having the vulnerability of homeostasis, the weaknesses of homeostasis, have rather the strengths that we put in them because we design them to be strong and to work very well and to not be at the mercy of simple weaknesses. So they are exactly the contrary of what we are. And they're also different in one other thing, is that whereas creatures like us have an automatic way of inspecting the condition of our life, which is done through feeling, robotics typically do not have that possibility. In fact, not just typically, they don't have that possibility. So what they have is, instead of having weakness, vulnerability, and this need to manage life within a range that is compatible with the continuation of that life, with survival, what they have is robustness, and they have a concentration on the kind of cognitive aspect that allows you to have a very quick and rapid and efficient computation, but they have nothing whatsoever that resembles feelings. Whereas we have feelings, and we have feelings because they are giving us, in a mental manner, an expression of how good or how bad the homeostasis is being run within us at any given moment. So when you feel what we can call in our language well-being, that simply means that your homeostatic process is within one of the ranges of compatible equilibrium. There's not one level of equilibrium, there are many. It can be in an optimal state, in which case you feel joyful and happy and flourishing, or it can be in a state that is not so good and it goes towards malaise, feeling sick, or even worse, feeling pain and eventually dying. So think about this marvelous thing. We living organisms are different on many counts, but one of the main counts is the fact that we have a way of expressing mentally the state of our living condition. And normally people don't think about this with feelings. The feelings are used in a less functional, less operational way, and people think about feelings in terms of romance, for example. But feelings are the sentinels, the informers of the state of our life. And by the way, they end up being the undergirding for what then becomes emotions and emotional feelings. But we leave that aside for a minute. The next thing I wanted to call attention to is the fact that when we thought about feeling machines and about homeostasis, we were thinking about this reality. If you take a robot, a typical robot, and a very good robot that will do lots of interesting things for which it has been designed, that machine is extremely robust, but at the same time, it's extremely narrow in the compass of what we can do. So if that machine was designed to play, say, game X, if you ask that machine to play game Y, the machine is not going to be able to do it because it's been designed around that particular goal, that particular desire. And why? Well, it's been designed by great engineers to produce this function, and that does it brilliantly and robustly. And unless you take an axe to it, it's going to keep doing it for quite a time. We, on the contrary, are very vulnerable, very weak. But guess what? When you look at our history, the history of creatures that are living like us, and right now we can look at the history of about 4 billion years. You look at the history of weakness, vulnerability, lots of creatures that die, lots of creatures that get sick, and then lots of creatures that triumph in evolution and get to be, guess what, very smart. So what we are today is the result of the repeated use of our weakness, of our vulnerability, which comes through the fact that we are homeostats. And the fact that that weakness was turned into strength by allowing us, with our intellect, allowing us to generate better solutions for the problems that are before us. And that's why living creatures like us are extremely smart and have literally conquered the world and will conquer the universe, because we have this possibility of finding solutions, which comes through the tremendous intellectual capacity that has been built on the backs of our weakness.